Okay, this is Adobe Photoshop. I have changed the layout of my interface a little bit, but you should see the basic things here too as well. Anyway, I start out with the brush tool here and change the size. I like to keep it pretty small. That's how that button up there is how you do it in the interface, but the brackets keys on your keyboard can also change the size of your brush. Up here is the options for the pen pressure sensitivity, the opacity, and the size variation, which I like to keep both of them checked when I'm sketching. Now I'm just going to go in here and start with a circle and put a crosshairs through it. And by doing that, you can kind of see where the circle is not exactly perfect. And by the way, hold down Shift while you're drawing to get perfectly straight lines. Here at the bottom, it's a little squished, so I just, can go in and drag that, sketch that in a little bit more. So there, that's, step number one, make Mickey Mouse's head right there. And then right here, halfway in between each of those crosshairs, you can put a line that'll indicate where your ears go. Now actually, I don't think I am doing them quite in the right spot here. There should be a little bit of overlap with the ears and the head, so you can see I kind of try to push it back in a little bit. Keep making circles until you get something, a shape, a form that looks about right. It should be circle, but a little squished towards the head, if you know what I mean. They're not perfect circles. Yeah, a little bit more like an oval. You can go in here just below the center of your crosshairs, put an oval for the nose. Looking back on it, I think my nose is a little too small. So maybe do a little bit bigger than that, but I didn't catch that. Next, a little C above the nose for, well, the rest of his nose. And some ovals for the eyes. As you can see, Mickey Mouse is basically just circles, and that makes them really easy to draw. I'm using Control Z here with the eyes to undo, because I keep making mistakes. I'm making them a little bit too much of an angle, too much like a V. They should be more or less straight up, with just a slight angle, and in order to get that, I ended up going like, okay, I'm going to try to do it completely straight up, and it ended up being pretty good. They had just the right amount of angle. So there you go. I'm using the space bar to navigate, to move around the screen. I zoomed in using Control Plus. You can drag the slider in the navigation pane as well, and then just hold down space and click and drag to navigate around. It's like the pan tool. So going in here, you just use some C shapes, or some U shapes, I guess, for the mouth. Try and keep them pretty smooth. Okay, then another U below the mouth for the chin area. Once you got that looking good, you can put a tongue in, just like an M, two little hills. How's it coming? So far, all I've used is the brush tool. Oh, I forgot to mention at the beginning, I did create another layer. Down here, there's this little plus button. I do not like to draw on the background layer, because the background layer is white, and then when you erase things, it can get messy sometimes. So I'm sketching here on a new layer. And now you put in the cheeks, just kind of some big C, maybe like a upside down 6. I started with a half circle above the corners of the mouth, and then filled in the rest of the cheek going down to the chin area. Now for the next part. I don't know what you would call this. I guess it's like his eyebrows. And again, it's just big, long strokes, rounded strokes, kind of like the shape of a curly 9 or something like that, And if you don't like how it looks, don't be afraid to just Control Z, undo it, and try again. That is the benefit of using a computer to draw. So now here, I clicked over on this. It's the lasso tool. I'm using the straight lasso tool. If you don't see that one, hold down on the tool and select around the image, because I wanted to move over his face just a little bit. So I clicked on the move tool, and now that I have it selected, I can just nudge him over a little bit, click and drag, trying to center that a little bit more. Then you can put in some ovals for the pupils. Try to keep them almost cross-eyed, because we want it to look like he's looking forward, and it'll get it. Seems weird to have it cross-eyed, but it got the right effect. I switched the color here. That little arrow can toggle back and forth between your foreground color and your background color, and by doing that, I was able to put in a white highlight and then color in these areas. Okay, let's jump forward a little bit after I color these things in. Over here in this panel on the bottom, I'm going to create a new layer. First, I'm going to double click on this name and call it Sketch. I like to be a little bit organized here. This plus button here to add a new layer, call this one Line Art. And then I like to go over here, and I decided to switch the brush to the pencil tool for this to make it more crisp. Now if you click on the sketch layer and adjust this slider here in opacity, you can bring it down so that it'll make it a little bit easier to draw over, like an onion skin. Changing the brush over here to a pencil and making it just a little bit bigger. So then you can just go in and outline the rest of your character here, and try and be careful and smooth. You know, don't be afraid to erase. Don't be afraid to try again, and just try and follow the edges that you liked best from your sketches. And you can see here I was rotating it. This is the hand tool. If you hold down, you can get the rotate tool. The keyboard shortcut there is R, and you can just switch to that tool and rotate as you go along, because I find that your wrist and your arm kind of has a natural curve to it. So if you can use that to benefit you as you're drawing, you might get smoother strokes. It's kind of tricky, but you know, it just takes some practice. So now here you can see I decided not to try and draw this twice because I like the first one. So I used the lasso tool here and just selected it, Control C and Control V. And then I had to look under these windows here. Oh yes, edit down here to transform and free transform. Oh yeah, just above it. The shortcut is Control T, and then you can right click on your selection and click flip horizontal. And ta-da, just drag it in place. Click check mark up there, don't forget to do that. And you can keep trying on that layer. Now, just so I don't get confused later, anytime I copy and paste, I like to combine the layers. I'll put the one with the name on top and then select both of them with a shift click and push Control Shift E, I believe is the shortcut. All right, so then you just go in and do the finishing touches, outline everything that you need. We're going to speed through this real quick because it's all the same process. And just, you know, using the erase tool, E is a shortcut to, you know, help if you make a mistake. Last thing I'm going to show you is the coloring. Add a new layer above the sketch but below the line art. So click on sketch and the new layer will appear above it. Type in color. And then I push G on the keyboard to go to my paint bucket tool. It's up there on the left though. And immediately it colors in everything. So you click the all layers checkbox up here and it'll take into account the line art. And you can just choose your colors by double clicking on this swatch down here. And well, I just kind of stuck with black. But doing that, you can color in all of your areas that you want. Pretty fun. So I'll go ahead and speed through the rest of it, but hopefully this was, if not entertaining, at least informative. I just kind of wanted to go over the basic, you know, process of what it takes to draw and paint in Photoshop, and it's pretty fun. Hopefully you can try it out. If you don't have a tablet, it can be hard, but there are still things you can do with a mouse, and maybe I'll make a video on that later. Please remember to save your work often in case your computer crashes, and have fun doing art, and please remember to smile. Thanks for watching.